All right, everybody. Welcome to the Art of Money, how to take control of your business finances with Bedrock Business Builders. We've got Joe DeChera, the CPA of the day, and not just the CPA of the day. I think he's the CPA of the year. He's a firm foundation within Bedrock Business Builders. He helps us with all those business tips and tricks and what to do with our money and how to make it so we're really uh, taking the IRS and making it so they're our friend instead of our foe. Okay. Like that's hard to do, right, Joe? It's not easy to make the IRS our friend, but when we're in compliance with what we're supposed to do, that is exactly what happens. We also have Shirley Ann Felder. Shirley Ann Felder is the CEO of Ordinary Greatness. All right. She's a public speaker. She at one point was the owner of a garbage company. Okay. But this garbage company made
I know.
$32 million in revenue at one point. Okay. She is seriously, um, I
We're
don't
gonna
want to curse.
leave the trash talk out here today.
Yeah. Because I was going to say she's a but I don't like to curse. So I'm going to not say that. She can tell
She
her
could speak for
herself.
herself, I think.
This is true. We also have Roy Varner, a client of ours, Michelle Kavanaugh. She is also a client. In fact, all of these three lovely people who we have speaking with us today are clients of
But
ours.
they're
And
not being paid for these
no,
tests.
they are not paid for
They're
testimonials.
unpaid. Shirley doesn't like that. She's actually a professional speaker, so we tricked her into this. So sorry, Shirley, but it'll come back to you. Listen, all the millions of people that are gonna watch this, they're gonna say, I need to book Shirley Felder as a speaker.
Uh, That's
So,
that's true. And we have Susan Sheppard. She is a relationship expert within Bedrock Business Builders, and she helps us get what we want, right? So she did the interviews with Shirley and Roy and Michelle, and this is where we've got Shirley right here live with us. So she, of course, is going to give us some words of wisdom about how to take control of your finances. She's not alone in that. In fact, she's had to take control of her finances on more than one occasion, okay? And she rolls her shoulders back. She takes in a big breath. In fact, we've done a lot of events where we take those H breaths together. Remember, Shirley? Do you remember those H breaths where we release the oxytocin into our bloodstream? So we love what we do. In fact, as we're talking about this workshop, I'd like everybody to roll their shoulders back. Take in a big breath. You too, Joe. Come on. And then we gotta go, "Ah." Right? And I know you think that the sound is like, "What is this woman doing? Why is she making that sound?" And it's because that sound makes it to the pituitary gland in the back of your head. Well, it vibrates, all right? And when it vibrates, that's when the oxytocin is released, and that's when we truly love what we do, and you can feel it down in your fingertips. The most powerful people, the most powerful CEOs of the world, before they go on stage, they will often take these breaths. And that is
I thought you were
when
gonna
they can
say they take naps.
I don't know if they take naps. Maybe some of them. I hope
I
they
know
take
Lyndon
naps.
Johnson did.
All
12
right, naps
o'clock every day, he put on his pajamas and he took a nap.
to take control of your finances, I think you also have to take control of your napping. You have to take care of yourself, okay? You can't just be like on at all times. You've got to nap. But we're not just going to nap, Joe. Who is this? Who is this for? Who are we talking to right now?
Well, can we go back to the first screen? Because I can't tell you how excited I am about the content. I don't think, we were trying to come up with a title and I'm going through all the slides. I'm like, this is really cool what we're going to talk about today. And we got three cool clients. I have no idea what they're going to say. Susan kept that a secret. So we could have some surprises. I don't know. But this is,
All nice things, we hope,
yeah,
but it's
well,
not
hopefully,
guaranteed.
we are, one of our core values is honesty and integrity, and hopefully they followed those core values. If not, we could always bleep them out in the recording, right? But I got a feeling this is going to be one of our best webinars. So let's talk about who this is for. Uh, this is for a lot of people, and you don't need to have a bag over your head. We're not going to divulge your identity if you don't want us to. Uh, But this is for anybody that feels left out, confused, not just by taxes, but by finances in general. What I've learned about, well, I've learned a lot over 40 years and plus the stuff that I didn't learn. And when I didn't learn it was in school, not even in college. I mean, they taught us about numbers and finance, but not really how to control it. Okay, so if you're confused about finances, about what to do with your money, the worst thing that I've seen is you give somebody a lot of money and they don't have a plan. They don't know what to do with it. And a lot of times, you could see people that hit the lottery a couple of years later, they're filing for bankruptcy. So if you hit the lottery, this is for you. If you just became a rock star and you came into a lot of money, this is for you. Or if you want to find out where your money's going and how you can accumulate it, this is definitely for you.
All right. Well, Joe, I hope we're accumulating money. I hope we're getting money from the ground up. I hope we can find the golden nuggets at the end of the
I could
rainbow.
give you a golden nugget right now because it
Yeah.
actually came up in a client's offer and compromise because, the IRS knows everything. You can't hide anything from the IRS anymore, even cryptocurrency. So if you're trying to hide stuff, don't. So I get a call from now, believe it or not, I get a call from the IRS. I can't call them, they won't pick up the phone. But they asked me about a client's Acorns account. So now, if you don't know what Acorns is, I have an Acorns account, and what it does is it takes pennies. So if I buy something for $1.97, they're taking those 3 pennies and they're rounding it up to $2, and they put it into an investment account. And over time it accumulates. You'd be surprised. And over time, I have over $4,500 in the stock account. I would have never had that because it would have it's like a no pain-free way to save. So that's one of my golden nuggets. You don't have to pay any extra for that. And there's a bunch of them that do that. So if you're not doing it, I used to put my change in the piggy bank. Now it goes straight into my investments.
That's a good little tip and trick and a nice little app, that Acorn app, right? And this is where the apps that we do or we use, they're tracking everything. They are going to give us 1099s. They're going to make it so the IRS knows what's in these accounts because most of them, like Coinbase, they want to be listed on the stock exchange market. And in order to be listed on the stock exchange market, they have to comply with things like that. So when they're giving money to their clients or you're making those types of trades, you will wind up getting documentation about it. But Joe, what are we going to leave with this
So you're
workshop?
gonna leave with, tips and tricks like the little Acorns account, and you're gonna leave with practical, actionable steps that you could take right away and information that can really be invaluable, like the crypto. I get emails from the IRS every day. Every day. I was going to put them in my spam folder, but I said, maybe I should be reading some of this stuff. But I get like 2 or 3 emails a day, most of it geared towards tax professionals. So, and I actually try to share a lot of them in social media because a lot of it has to do with regular folks, people that are confused, people that don't know this stuff. So it's coming right from the horse's mouth. And there was a whole thing about cryptocurrency and how it's evolved and how it was an underground currency, and people were using it for things like money laundering and tax evasion. So I don't think the IRS isn't aware of that stuff. So just like Elizabeth said, now the most of them want to be listed on the stock exchange, and because of that, if you have an account like Coinbase, like I do, they're asking you for your tax info. Now, why? Because they want to report these transactions. And until recently, the IRS had no way to do it. So They just
Apps were the
want,
wild, wild west of finance, Joe. They were developing apps to try and make it so the IRS didn't know.
well,
It's like that meme. Who's
they
gonna know?
they
We-
went straight to the top. They went to the Securities and Exchange Commission. They said, listen, if these people want to do business with you, they got to give up their clients. So what's interesting is, the IRS didn't know how to classify this stuff. They're like, is it money? Is it, stock? Is it, what is it? So what they came up with is it's actually sort of like a commodity, like the futures exchange, which I don't understand, but keep it simple. When you do a transaction, so when you put money into crypto, that's fine. It's when you take it out or exchange it that a taxable transaction takes place. And that's where you're going to get a 1099-B. That's going to be, it's just like a stock. So what the IRS came up with is that crypto is just like any other property. Okay.
Mm.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So I traded some crypto. Actually, when I signed up for Coinbase, they had a couple of ways to get free crypto. And it was all about if you learn about the crypto thing. So I got like 5 coins. And at the end of the year, I got a 1099 for those free crypto coins.
Burger King was giving away crypto, okay? Like no joke, that as if it was
So
like a Happy Meal prize.
you got to be careful. Sometimes if you get crypto, it could be a taxable event. Now, the IRS doesn't accept payment in crypto yet, but I know you could buy a Tesla with crypto, right?
Can buy a Tesla.
When
There's
you
people who
so
are buying houses. One of the things that they were doing with the Dogecoin was they were trying to make it so the more places that you could purchase things for, the more legitimate the coin becomes. So like Bitcoin, that's a big thing. You can actually go to ATMs right now and make it so your Bitcoin becomes cash right in
and
the moment.
when you, just like I said, when you take it out, as they call it, fiat is real money. When you take it out of an ATM, that's a taxable transaction, believe it or not. They have debit cards where you can go to the supermarket and pay with crypto. You're going to pay taxes on it if you have and their software will figure out if you have a gain or a loss. So that's a good thing. But
Mm.
every time you have it's kind of dangerous because it's almost like the unsuspecting entrepreneurs that don't know they're getting a 1099 for their work.
Oh yeah, all of a sudden you become this stock trader. Like, so Shirley, you were doing stocks for a while. You still doing stocks, Shirley, right there? Do you do transactions or do you chipmunk it?
No, no, no. I do stocks.
Uh-huh.
I
Are you
invest.
doing any crypto? Don't take, so one
Oh,
thing,
crypto.
I do a couple of things really, really good, and investing isn't one of them. So my experience with crypto is, I said, because I went on one of John Lindbacher's webinar. It was, he just has general talks every week, and he was saying, oh, he invested in crypto and it's like tripled. And I said, I'm going to try this. I'm going to use John's strategy. And I invested 100, and like in 2 days it was 300. So I was telling my whole family, you got to do this strategy. You got to. And then I kept putting money in, and then I'm up to 500, which is a lot for me to invest in anything. Today it was worth $250.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't
My
do crypto. I don't do crypto. And, I belong to an investing group and we research and do,
Oh, that's right. And those are really good. Because what you do, you want to explain what that is, Shirley, please, because
sure.
that's another good tip.
So it's a group in which people get together, and there's always, someone who really knows the stuff and teaches us how to research. And it's like a business. When you have a business, you have a mission statement, a purpose, right? And you have a plan, you have a strategic plan, how you're going to get those clients, what you're going to do with them, and how you're going to grow your business, right? As the years go on. So it's the same thing with investing within our group. Maybe other groups do it differently, but we're thinking about the future. What will you need in the future? So you're always going to need food, right? Technology is changing. So there's different ways, automation, different ways that you do things. So you're looking towards the future, and then you research those companies involved in it. And just like a business, you look at the people at the top. What have they done? what's their history, and then you decide upon your own which companies you want to invest in, and you look at it and you keep an eye on it. So every morning I get up, my ritual is I do my motivational coaching every morning, and I go right to my stocks and I check on them and listen to what's going on. In some arenas, not really the news, because that's depressing. And most of what you hear with the NASDAQ and all of that crap, that is censored information.
Yes.
I've made most of my money on the things they say that are dying.
Yeah.
So
So
I
a
would
couple of things I want to plug you. So when you talk about your motivational thing, you're talking about
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. So you created a whole following, you have your own tribe. Elizabeth, can you do a link, or is that just on a mobile phone? How
Oh,
do people find you on Clubhouse?
So they would find me by my name, Shirley Ann Felder, or the name of my club is called Mosaic Inc. And I have a partner there. Her name is Leslie. So it was her brainchild and she created it. And then a day later, she saw me in a room and she said, "Hey, you want to do 15 minutes in the morning? You sound like you can inspire people. And, I want someone to do it with me." And I was like, "Sure." I didn't realize it was 7:45 in the morning, because I don't typically do mornings. I sat on a lot of boards in my county and I quit them all because they had 8:00 a.m. meetings and I didn't like it. So needless to say, we've been doing it a year and 4 months, going strong. And
Awesome.
we have a huge tribe, and we've taken it. We're on that platform every morning, Monday through Friday, with some special rooms, but we've also taken it off of that platform. And so once a month, we just do let's have some fun, get to know each other and grow yourself as a person, put business aside, because sometimes we can just be all business, business, business. And, just like breathing and getting that oxytocin breath and stretching, you need to clear things away so you get some clarity, make good decisions. So we do that. And then in March, we're having a big event, but I am for hire. I do workshops. I've been specializing lately.
All right, and we're not making this the Shirley Ann Felder
That's
show.
okay. I've got a
We'll
nice
give you a
commercial
chance.
coming up for you. But people need leaders.
Elizabeth will put all your links and stuff like that. So you are getting your money's worth.
Good,
I
great,
knew
love
that
it.
you would. I said that I wouldn't
Mhm.
be able to compete with you. But so who am I and why am I here? Why am I qualified to teach you? Well, besides my adventures with crypto, I've been an accountant for over 40 years now, almost as long as my friend Susan was an emergency room nurse. But there are no accounting emergencies, I learned. And basically, when I boil it down, really, it was a few simple things that I did with thousands of clients. And it was really organizing their finances, starting with simple bookkeeping. Believe it or not, all the way back when I was a baby, in accounting, it started with bank recs, and then we categorize things, and then after you put all the numbers together, you can see what the business is doing. That's what I did. A lot of Well, I can't say a lot, but I do have a niche in tax problem solving. And again, you got to go back to, okay, where did this start? What's your accounting? What kind of documents do you have? And it's almost, Elizabeth pointed this out to me. It's like a spiritual journey, because what we do when we take clients' books, we actually go back and we say, okay, this is where you are. This is what you did wrong. This is what you did right. And if you just tweak a little things, you might be able to keep some of that money that you've been earning. So that's my story. That's what I'm sticking to.
well, that's good, Joe, because within this recording, we are not just talking with you. I've got Sydney on camera. She is also within our live and everybody can see her. I also have Susan, right? This is a Sheppard pair right here, mother and daughter. They're both within Bedrock. We've got them on camera just so everybody knows who I've got on camera and what we're doing and how we're all talking about this, because the art of money, everybody has got a different style with it. And I think sometimes if we can talk about these things, because I saw your slides, Joe, Janine did a fabulous job with them as always. We can have specific principles, but then I think having the different opinions of how we do things and what we do with it, and getting you a little bit off the cuff of your script would be a nice thing to hear as we're talking about the art of money, because when we're doing this stuff, it's in the moment. A lot of things about money are very emotional, right? Like,
Yeah, and one point, first I want to ask Shirley if I could circle back for a second. Do you pay for that club that you're in?
I sure do. $5,000 a year.
So, when we're doing your accounting, you got to point that out because that's a tax write-off. Okay.
I
Uh,
sent, I sent the email yesterday.
yes, and I saw it.
Yes,
I saw your
good.
creative way of paying for it too. I'm like, okay, this is right up our alley. Shirley's going to be a fun client. We take people like you and we create training videos. So that's all right. We made Susan our friend here, the whole subject of our course project. So that's a compliment. But one thing, and maybe Susan could chime in on this, one thing that I've learned is women have a whole different perspective on money than men do. And I first learned about that watching The Sopranos. Okay, when Carmela started stealing money from Tony and investing it. So and I have a couple of friends, Susie Fabricini, where she's got a whole tribe of women that she teaches them how to invest. She would not let me join because I'm not a woman, but and she explained why it is, but maybe Susan could shed some light on this. Why is there such a big disparity between how women look at money and how men look at it?
Because I believe that women look at money as security and men look at money as something to play with. And I don't know if that's true or not. That's just an observation I have.
That it can't be that simple.
Well, women are much more conservative for the most part, with the exception of me. I am not very conservative. I take big risks with money and everything. And
I'm going to mute myself on that one.
yes, you can unmute yourself, Sydney, because you probably have more to say about this than I do.
Yeah, maybe Shirley has. Well, I don't know if there's anything Shirley doesn't have something to say on, but what about like, do you have all women, or is it a mixture of men and women in your group?
We have 99.9% women. However, I am in groups with men, and men do look at money a whole lot differently than women. Even my brothers. I mean, we're all business owners. And they go and they buy these big things and they experiment with them and they keep adding. So my brother probably has like 30 pieces of equipment. You're on a job, you need 1 or 2. Why do you need 30? But guys like toys. Guys like toys and bigger and better.
Yeah, and I think you're definitely right. I think men look at money as a way to control things, to be in charge of things. They do like to buy toys.
We like shoes and security.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I really do think it's that simple, Joe.
I believe you, but I see over the last 10 years, there's a whole evolution of women, getting
Well,
more.
women are learning about money. I mean, women have been kept in the dark about money for years. I mean, I've had clients, I've been coaching for 30 years, and I had clients who, their husband suddenly died and they have no idea where the checkbook is.
Yeah.
They have no idea how much money they have or what kind of what they have to work with, and they have to learn from scratch.
Yeah. So bringing it all back to the workshop topic, what I've seen over the last couple of decades is, so first of all, you're not a good example. You're not a good, what do you call it?
Well, I've had my own money for 30 some years now.
You're a cutout, and probably Shirley is, women.
You're not a regular woman. You're unique.
okay,
Yeah.
everybody is unique, but a lot of the
Yes.
things that's different
Everybody's unique.
is how many zeros you can comprehend within the money that you're working with. I've been in both men and women groups, right, where they're talking about money, both men and women groups where they're talking about the stock exchange and all that stuff, right? And women, yes, women are more conservative. Women want security. Women want to take investments that are definitely going to give them what they're looking for, what they want, right? And men, on the other hand, men,
We will
they
take
will
risks.
they will sink the ship.
I mean,
Okay?
they go all in all the time.
Like it's amazing if you follow that Reddit where it's Wall Street bets. Oh my goodness, the guys on there, they straight up will lose everything and then celebrate it like they done a good job. Okay, I don't know about women if they're necessarily celebrating burning the ship or making it so they aren't squirreling or chipmunking it. But this is where whether you're squirreling it away, whether you're taking risky investments or whether you're taking investments that are not so risky, there's still benefits to whatever you spend. They say that it takes money to make money, right? So if you're investing in the stock market and you're investing in your business and if you're investing in yourself to bring it back to the workshop, yeah, we've got massive tax write-offs when you have a business and you own your business. And when you're making those
Mhm.
investments, you're doing it not as a person, but as an entity, as something beyond
Yes,
yourself.
so let me just, that whole idea, if it takes money to make money, is a lie.
It is a lie.
Plenty of people have become Walt
Yep.
Disney is bankrupt 3 times.
Mrs. Fields.
Yeah,
Mrs. Fields made chocolate chip cookies and built an empire.
yeah, Colonel Sanders was collecting
And
social
that's another
security.
one.
Okay, so it doesn't take money, it takes other things. It takes ideas, it takes tenacity more than anything, I think. But what I've seen with business ownership, again, bringing it back to women, my mother was an entrepreneur. That's where I got it from. I didn't get it from my father. She was always selling stuff, making stuff, buying stuff, and selling it for profit. Why? Because she couldn't rely on my dad. Okay. She didn't want to rely on my dad. That wasn't even the issue. She wanted her own money. And she was even now, she's 82. She's got an Etsy store. But what I see is there's a huge movement of women entrepreneurs now.
Yeah.
It's probably the fastest growing segment. And it's about time because women are realizing, and you could see, Elizabeth and Susan, most of our clients are women. That's not by accident. That's who we attract. And the men are usually married. They're married to women. The women are powerful, and I think they're finally starting to realize that they can own a business. There's power in business ownership, and it doesn't always come with how much money you have, not even with how much money you make. It's what do you do with that money? You could make have 100 million in sales, but if you got 101 million in expenses, you haven't made anything.
Um,
One of the biggest companies in the world has gone bankrupt. They had, which one was that? It was one of the banks, Elizabeth.
oh,
It wasn't that long ago. But they had like 33 billion in sales and they went bankrupt. And you're like, it was because of what they spent. They all,
they were willing to lose the ship, okay? The
all the
high men executives were willing to like, all right, let it ride, let it go. This is why when you're making business expenses and you're spending on your office or your
so
car or the furniture, all these things, these are like your regular budgeting things. So we talked about how women like security. Women like to spend on reasonable things, right?
So,
These
yes, but let's talk about, so the first thing, I talk about the questions business owners ask me, and they never ask me the right questions. Okay. The right question is not what can I deduct, it's when can I deduct this stuff? Okay. And there's only 2 things you need to start a business: an idea and action. Now, you see that guy carrying the luggage? He's going on a business trip. The guy with the wine in his hand, he's having a business meal. Okay. Those are actions. And all of a sudden, the desk you have at home, the home office, your car, your phone, your computer, trips that you go, they all become tax write-offs. Now, those are things that you probably already have. So that's one of the miracles of being in business. You could start a business. Now, if you have a retirement income, or you have a actual job where you get a W-2, these write-offs become cash in your pocket, Elizabeth. Think about that. It's like, wait, I haven't spent any more money. My budget is still the same. Only now you have two columns. You have your personal expenses and you have your business expenses. Well, the personal expenses you can't write off. If you have a car, if you have a phone and you don't have a business, there's nowhere for you to write that off. Well, now you have the column with the write-offs. Okay. There's no law that says you have to make money. In fact, most businesses don't make any money, right, Susan?
That's right.
So Susan worked for one of the icons of business, Michael Gerber. He wrote a book called The E-Myth. Okay, and she worked for him for 3 years. And it's the myth that basically just because you can cook doesn't mean you can open up a restaurant.
Well, the whole concept of the E-Myth is that people start a business doing what they know how to do. And they know how to do the work in the business, but they don't know how to run a business. And that was the entire concept of what Michael Gerber taught, that you need to learn how to do the things you don't know how to do, and you need to create systems to make them work. And you need to find people to do the work for you that will be loyal to you and who will ultimately make it so that you don't have to do everything yourself.
Which is basically what we're doing at Bedrock, right?
It is exactly what we're doing at Bedrock.
So you know the other reason why businesses fail? The main reason?
It's because they don't grow.
No, they don't hire Bedrock business builders.
Oh.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because when you hire Bedrock business builders, Joe, you get a whole back end. You get a whole office, okay?
Oh, we have a
It's not
whole
one
team,
account.
because we practice the philosophy that Susan is talking about. There's, that's one of the reasons why we tricked her into being on the team. Besides the
And you
relationship,
did trick me.
no, I think you tricked us, but either way, we wound up in the right place because you're invaluable. The knowledge and experience you bring just on the relationship side, and who would have thought, a business firm, because we're much more than just an accounting firm. We do bookkeeping, accounting, and taxes, but that's just the start.
Right.
Really, we want people to keep those coins that I see in the bottom corner with the little car. Yeah, we want those coins to be a lot bigger.
I'll tell you why I'm doing this, Joe, because I always wanted to scale a business. And all the businesses that I started, all 12 of them, were basically based on me. And
Mine too, Susan.
I've been an entrepreneur for 30 some years, but I had a job at the same time. I was straddling both worlds.
But this
Yeah.
is where a business is no longer about just the owner. A business is about the whole team. A business is about the clients that we serve and being of service to them and providing the things that they need. So this is where what we're looking at right here is a list. And this list
This
is
is just a
things,
short list.
it's
We
a
got
short,
more. We have more. I got more up my sleeve before the webinar is all.
but this is where this is talking about a business that's kind of like CEO centered and what you could write off doing that. But when you have a bigger team, when you wind up having
Yeah.
when you offer fringe benefits, like, I don't know.
Are you good? You're going ahead of the slides now.
Oh, okay. I won't go too far ahead of the slides. Instead, I'm going to just not skip this slide. I'm going to push the slide ahead and say, let's keep going. How do we
So
eliminate?
when you start a business, there are ways, because if you follow what we do, we make business owners S corporations. Okay. Sole proprietors, which the vast majority of businesses are set up as sole proprietorships. And those are the companies that get audited the most. So imagine if you could, and you can have a side gig, just like my son-in-law. He sells posters, and it was really a hobby. and there's a whole thing, I shared the article on, this whole new rule with 1099s. And there was a letter written to the director, whoever's in charge of the IRS and Congress. They said basically it was 70 CEOs of big companies, like the CEO of PayPal and all these companies that have to issue these 1099s now. And they said, listen, you're going to make kids that mow people's lawns business owners. And they did. They made somebody like my mother, who sells arts and crafts on Etsy. It's a hobby. She's not making, tens of thousands of dollars. They made her into a business owner. So by forming them as S corps, we eliminate a lot of those notices that new business owners get. Okay. And we're going to also talk about some of the other ways to eliminate those problems. Okay,
Well,
like
yeah, because then there's late filing fees, audits, penalties, documenting expenses when you create this business. And that's one of the myths that people run into if you're talking about the myths of business, right? They think that incorporating themselves is going to be complicated. And it's going to be so complicated that it's not worth doing. It's not worth paying the lower tax rates. It's not worth paying the for the headache of an accountant, perhaps, to open your business. But that's not true. That's the complete opposite.
Well, so first of all, when the IRS makes the kid mowing lawns into a business, they're already under the jurisdiction of the state and local tax authorities. They all want to know what he's doing. They want him to register his business. They want him to pay licensing fees and stuff like that. The IRS definitely wants to know, what you're doing. That kid is going to get a 1099 from PayPal or Venmo or however he's getting paid. And the IRS doesn't know that he has expenses. They don't know that he bought gas for the lawnmower, that he had to actually buy the lawnmower, or he borrowed it. He took his father's lawnmower, and now that's the lawnmower is actually a tax write-off. He's going to be getting notices. And not only, no, they're not notices, they're bills. That poor kid, imagine this, he's over there earning money to buy Pokemon cards, and now all of a sudden he's got a tax bill for $3,000 from the IRS.
So can I say something, Joe?
No,
Oh.
you're going to say it anyway. Go ahead.
So the first 10 of my 12 businesses, I was a sole proprietor, and I did my own accounting and all that stuff. But the biggest lesson that I've taken from all of the work that I've been doing with you was, if I had incorporated Saguaro Entertainment, which was my movie production company, and we had been an S corporation, I never would have gotten audited. I never would have had to pay taxes. I would not have had all my expenses written off as a hobby, because we spent a good 18 months trying to produce a movie, and we didn't make any money, but we sure spent a lot of money. And I realize now that if we had been an S corporation, it would have made all the difference in the world.
I told you, you didn't know me.
I didn't know you then.
There was bedrock back then, and you knew us. No problem. We actually,
this was before I ever met you.
Maybe before I was even born.
Well, that's what's hidden. Okay, so the idea of an S corp is not at the forefront of business entity research. Okay, when you say, "Oh, I'm going to create a business," when Shirley said, "Oh, I want to create a business," and we incorporated her, Shirley, did you know we were going to turn you into an S corp, or what an S corp was?
Yes, because I ran S corp. However, I learned the hard way that I needed to be an S corp, because the first accountant I ever had made me a C corp.
And what happened when you were a C corp?
I paid double and extra and over and unnecessary stuff for a business my size and what I had.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. There's a lot of let's just say accountants that don't have my background. Uh, in the CPA firms that I worked in, it wasn't even a question. It wasn't, it was like, oh, they're a business, we'll make them an S corp. Now, C corps are appropriate in the right circumstances, but that's a whole nother story. But Elizabeth, you brought up the real fallacy, the real myth is that, oh, having a corporation is more complicated. It's not more complicated.
Mm-mm.
There might be a little bit more paperwork involved, but you still have to document your expenses. You still, and people that don't hire an accountant, those are the people that get audited. So it's
It,
almost like, oh, I'm not going to drive a car because I have to pay auto insurance.
it
Okay.
doesn't matter what type of business you're running, your firm foundation within your finances should be the same. This is where you still need a charter of accounts. You still need a vendor map. You still need to know what your highest valued activity is and go after it. You still need to know what you're selling, what your offer is, and be able to offer it. And then there's, of course, there's sales tax and everything else. It's a matter of tracking it. This is where the bookkeeping or the accounting of your business is so fundamental to your ability to grow. And I don't care how it's classified. But if you can classify the entity, if you can let go of the idea that, ooh, an LLC, that's cool. Everybody's an LLC. In fact, I wrote a book that said how cool being an LLC was. Okay. But that's not always the right way to structure
Well,
yourself because
LLCs are cool, and I'll tell you why, because there's a lot of things that you can do with LLCs that you can't do with a corporation. But for a single owner, sole proprietorship, and operating entity, uh, you're nine, I can't say it's 100% times that you got to be a corporation. Now, whether you're a C corp or an S corp has to do with your current tax situation, but almost always, if you start making money, you want to be an S corp because, like Shirley said, if you're a C corp and you have profits, that's where you get into this double taxation. But I don't want people to start, the whole thing, at Bedrock, our mantra is that we make everything simple.
yeah. So even
So,
when you're an LLC, one of the things that you taught me that we could do was that you can turn your LLC into an S corp to be
it's
taxed that
very
way.
easy. It doesn't cost anything.
Well, it does cost something. Don't try
Well,
and
we
act like it's
charge,
free.
I
It's not
mean,
free.
there's no fees, but it's a simple process. We do it all the time because most people are, creating LLCs because that's what they hear. But there's 28 million sole proprietors out there that should not be LLCs. Why? Because the IRS doesn't recognize an LLC. You're getting no tax benefits from an LLC. And so here's two things that so far we've covered in the art of money, because we talked about a lot. The first thing is businesses, when you start a business, you can generate money from that. Why? Because, like I said, you're going to have expenses you have anyway. You're paying your rent, you're paying your mortgage anyway. Now, all you got to do is convert part of your house into an office. And it doesn't even have to be an office, it could be half of your kitchen. But that part is now it becomes a business write-off. Now,
Oh, like
even if you
my
don't
dining
have,
room.
yeah, your kitchen table. Now you just, converted that kitchen table into business property, and that's totally legal. There's ways to do it. But so that's the first lesson. You could start a business, okay? Forget about even making money. I mean, you want to make money when you start a business, but a lot of people say, oh, I'll start doing that when I start making money. Well, what if you never make money? We could show you how to turn that into cash. In other words, take those expenses and actually put money in your pocket. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you want to have the right structure. Okay, and you need professional guidance to do that. let's just say the powers that be, they would like you to think that having a corporation is complicated. It could get complicated if you have shareholders, if you're in different states, if you have foreign transactions, stuff like that. But for a single owner entity, it's very, very simple. The documentation isn't that much. But what's important is that you have a professional guidance. And one of the things that we learned, Elizabeth, is people don't hire accountants because they think that we're too expensive. And that's why we came up with our $57 a month CFO package. We want to make, and why we do these free webinars, we want to make this information inexpensive and available.
Oh yeah, that like there's lots of benefits to having an accountant. Now, with having an accountant, can an accountant help you with all these things, answering tax notices, the late filings, audit? Sure, yeah. Accountants,
But more
Bedrock, we also
importantly,
help with the structuring you.
we're gonna make it so that you don't have late filing issues, you don't have audits, you don't have.
I realize that, but you see, one of the complexities of this business, we talked about how money can be emotional, right? This is the art of money. The other thing that happens is a lot of times people don't engage in an accountant until these things happen. Okay, and then all of a sudden, what are we going to do? Who are we going to talk to? Who can I trust? Right? Because when we get these notices, it's fear. And when you're fearful, you have to think to yourself, who can I
Oh,
open my closet to? Who can I expose myself to and not feel like I am being judged? Right? So within the art of money, within when you're looking for an accountant, when you're dealing with these types of things, you you want to go to someone you can trust. And I think it's real important that the person or the company that you're working with, when you're dealing with them, they do not judge. That's real important. And it takes a lot to do that. I think even accountants themselves, Joe, I know that sometimes you've had to do this where you have to step back and you have to be like, oh, I'm not going to judge. But
well,
that's an art. It is an art to not overly judge yourself. It is an art to not overly judge your client. And if you're not in a state of fear and judgment, then guess what you can do? You can make complex tax issues disappear. You can make it so you're actually strategic about what you are doing and how you are changing the way you're structuring yourself or the way that you're investing or the way that you're thinking about money to make it so it's more beneficial to you.
so,
Now,
it's funny, because I actually have a dentist appointment tomorrow. Okay. I don't have a toothache. I'm pretty sure I don't need root canal. Everything's fine. Okay. And you know why it's fine? Because years ago, I got advice from a dentist, and he said you should floss 2 or 3 times a day. You know how much it cost me to floss? Nearly nothing. It's one of the simplest activities I could do, and I just do it without even thinking now. It's like part of my regular routine. I go to the dentist so that I don't need root canal. And that's, it might not be the best analogy, but that's what it's like. It's like you don't hire an accountant because you have a problem. You hire an accountant because you don't want problems. And you wanna keep your money. And it's not all about your, what you pay in taxes, what you get back. It's really about the guidance. And it's going to be hard
Yeah.
for us to handle 28 million sole proprietors, to be honest with you. So they don't all have to call us or email us, but they should all consult with an accountant, not their Uncle Harry, not a guy down the street that owns a business, but a professional that does this on a regular basis. And there's easy ways to find somebody that's good. Okay, most of our clients come from referrals. Why? Because Shirley's referred some clients to us. She knows us. She already knows that there's no judgment. And to be honest with you, Elizabeth, that's a fallacy, because I've never met any accountant that said, oh my God, I can't believe how much this person spends on clothes. It's not like that when, it's just not like that. So I understand that it's hard for people to open up. And to be honest with you, I think it's because most people are afraid of, yeah, like you said, being judged. Oh, they're gonna, especially my friends. I have friends that refer all kinds of business to us. They'll never let me do their accounting. Why? Because they think, oh, he's gonna see how messed up I am. So it's all, it's these blocks, it's these mindsets that really,
Well, yeah, this is where if you can change your mindset about things, then that makes it so there's less of a blockage. That makes it so you're willing to change things too. Because a lot of times your system does have to change. When someone comes new onto Bedrock as a client, is their accounting system changing? Yeah. More often than not, it is. Is it for the better? Absolutely, it's for the better. But is it hard to do? Is it uncomfortable? Yeah, it can be
anything,
uncomfortable.
anything that you have to change, you could put your bed on the other side of the room. When you go to bed at night, you're still gonna go to the normal, so it's the idea of changing something that's hard for people, even if it's a bad habit. It's like, and they know that, oh, if I don't change this, it's gonna hurt. But it's that mindset. It's like, how badly do you want to be successful? How badly do you want to keep your money? Now Larry Broughton, my coach, owns, big company, and he tells people, if you can't hire an accountant, then don't go into business. Successful people have accountants. They know their numbers.
Well, yeah, because as soon as you incorporate that business, guess what you get? Tax notices. You
Yeah.
you either get
No,
spam or tax notices, one or
yeah,
the
and
other.
there's no way around that. Once you have a business, you're getting notices. Some of them are scams. They're from companies that want you to pay for things that you get for free. So how do we do it? I got a very, very simple system. Don't do what my daughter did. She was getting that informed delivery. So, you get an email with a picture of the envelope and it says IRS on it. So she calls me and she says, why am I getting a letter from the IRS? I don't know.
We have to open it,
You
okay?
have
We
to
don't
open
know
it.
what's in the letter until it's opened.
You open it, very rarely do you get a pretty girl smiling like this when they get a letter from the IRS. But what we do is we say, listen, get a letter from anyone. And everybody says, I get a letter from the IRS. It could be from the state, it could be from the Department of Labor. They all say it's because they have that fear. And I get it too. I get letters all the time because I have power of attorney for clients. So I get that, momentary, oh my God, I hope I don't owe them money. If it happens to me, it's going to happen to everybody. So we say, okay, don't panic, open it up, just take a photo of the front page and text it to me. Okay.
Opening the
What?
mail is harder than you think though, Joe, right?
I know,
Shirley,
I
Shirley, do
understand.
you open your mail all the time? No, no, I want to hear you say it. Come on, unmute yourself and make it so we know, because this is the truth. This is what really happens.
You're muted, Shirley.
I have stacks of mail that I don't open, stacks.
Yeah, I do too. I have stacks of mail that I have things that I know what's in there, right? But I don't necessarily open it.
I just leave them in my PO box. So when I see, I get that informed delivery and I see one of my affiliate checks coming, then I'll go. I'm like, okay, at least I'm getting that $7.49. That'll lessen the blow of any bad news. But I'll let it build up for weeks. I'm like, there's no good news there. So why am I gonna make a special trip? But we all have these things, but so what you can do, Shirley, is you could hire an assistant and let them open the mail. I had, my last big client, Elizabeth, I got a lot of stories about this guy. When he first hired me, he hired me as a coach. And he had stacks of, he was opening all his own mail. Now he had a full-time assistant bookkeeper. And I said, why do you open your mail? Why don't you have, what's her name do it? And he's like, I never thought of that.
It is
Look,
something that you can easily start, like we were talking about
outsource.
growing, outsource. You were talking about growing our business and making the right investments and the different things that you spend on. And I'm gonna call on Shirley again. I know that she has paid people as an assistant to open her mail. I have seen her do it. That is probably one of the first hires she usually makes when she's willing to hire somebody as she's growing, is to take care of that mail and to easily handle these notices, right? That's a good hire. When you're writing that list of things that I do because I have to do it, the things that I do because I like it, and the things that I do that because I love it, you want to get rid of these having to deal with the
Oh,
taxes.
absolutely. So can I just bring up a point here, because some people might say, what does this have to do with the art of money? Okay, it's got everything to do with it. And the first reason is when people get notices, you know how many times they just pay it? They just pay it, thinking, well, I got a notice from the IRS, I must owe the money. 98% of the time, you don't owe the money. So they'll send a bill if they're missing information. If you read and I don't encourage anybody to read those bills, because there's a lot of worthless, useless information in them. Okay. They will just pay the bill. I had one client pay $22,000 worth of tax notices. There were 3 separate notices. I found out, I said, why did you pay these? She's like, I thought I had to. Like, what, 20 to, I wound up getting it back for her. It took me about 18 months, a lot of pain and suffering, but so it is the art of money. It's that mindset. It's like you get a bill. We have a friend, a client, Aldana. She's over there saying, oh, I'm going to pay my credit card, one day before it's due because it's going to affect my credit score. Okay. It's how you look at money. Don't be so quick to give it up.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, everything's negotiable, okay? This is where you can advocate yourself for yourself, you can negotiate. It's helpful to have somebody else advocate with you, and this is where Bedrock is very helpful with that. Joe has talked about the abatements that he's done, things like that, but this is where there are simple reduction
Oh, this is okay. So the
strategies.
next slide, so again, we take things that seem like complex issues, and they are, if you've never done this, if you're just, for me, it's simple. Okay, and I'll explain them in very, very simple terms. So the next slide, this is one of my favorites. Okay, you could hire your kids. Okay, so somebody asked me, well, how old do they have to be? I said, if they're 1 minute old, they actually have to be born for you, for you to, as long as they have a social security number, you have them fill out a W-4 form, you get a valid, state issued photo ID from them, you have them fill out an I-9, you could hire them, they can be an employee. Think about all those kids on those commercials, they're getting paid big money. Okay, somebody's cutting them a check. Okay, they're a tax write-off for somebody, so why not you? You have to give them some kind of job. They can't just be your kid. Oh, I'm going to pay them just because they're my kid. Put them on a postcard, man. I did that when I started a cleaning service. I called it Little Anthony's Cleaning Service, believe it or not. I put my son on the postcard. Okay, he was my spokesmodel. Okay, he was all messed up, and I said, don't let your office get like this. And I had a mop in front. This is a true story, Elizabeth. So you could have your kids clean your office. You could actually pay them to stay out of your office. Okay, how about this? You tell them, listen, you guard my office. You're the guard. Okay, it doesn't matter. You have them do something. Now, believe me, the IRS isn't going to say, well, what were they doing as your employee? It never gets to that. So what's the benefit? There's a lot of benefits. So for one, your child can make up to $12,500 and not have to pay any income taxes. Okay, you don't get to write your kids off anymore. Okay, you don't get a tax deduction. So you're not cheating yourself. What you're doing is you're taking 12,500 and you're shifting it over to them. Now, if you have 4 kids, that comes out to what, Elizabeth? 25, that's like $50,000.
48.
Yeah, whatever. I think it's 50,000.
Yeah, 50.
Accounting firm that can add.
All right, $50,000. Okay,
So
we got the
imagine,
numbers.
okay, so imagine you're in the 30% bracket, which isn't a high bracket. Okay, it goes even higher than that. You're in the 30% bracket, and you do have to pay payroll taxes. That's about 17%, let's say, between Social Security taxes and unemployment. Still ahead 13%. What's 13% of 50,000? It's like $6,500 in cash. That goes to your, it's not even it's cash that you're going to either reduce your taxes or get money back. Okay.
And it doesn't just have to be your kids, right, Joe? Can it be your grandkids?
It could be your grandkids, it could be your cousin, it could be your sister, it could be anyone. Okay. But here's the thing with your kids. So think about somebody, I have 2 grandchildren, and my son was like, oh, we already set up the college fund for them. It's like, well, so now he's going to be starting his own business. I'm going to turn him into an S Corp. It's like, well, that's not a smart strategy. And he said, why? I said, because you could hire Nora and Harper, and you get a tax write-off, and they could put that money into their own college fund. So
Oh, yeah, because you can invest in a Roth IRA with these.
that's
with
another
the kid.
thing. So you could
And
take
it's
that
based on
12
how much money they make during the year.
So you could take that $12,500 because you need to have earned income to invest in a Roth. There's no age limit. Okay, there is an age limit when you get to be older, but that's a whole nother story. When you're a kid, you got 12,500 in earned income. You could take 6,000, put it into a Roth, take the other 6,000, put it into a college fund or whatever you want. Those kids will be multimillionaires before you are. Think about it. But now what you're doing is investing your college fund, your college money with after-tax dollars. You're doing it with pre-tax dollars. It means you're getting a tax write-off for that. It's a simple strategy. There's not that much paperwork involved. And
You're investing in your legacy. You're investing your wealth in your estate. We talked about earlier how the art of money is spending money or investing it on things that are actually going to be beneficial to you. They're going to be beneficial to your family. They're beneficial to your business. You let go of the mindset of, oh, I have to keep it and I have to have it in this one bank account and it can't go anywhere.
Well,
Right?
it's not even, what we're talking about so far, Elizabeth, is just spending your money differently. Okay, it's still the same money. You're still going to save money for your kids' education. It's just being smarter, being more aware of how money works.
It's the structure of things. It's the organization. It's that firm foundation to make it so you as an individual can grow and your children can also grow. It is a very interesting strategy to be able to do this. And this is where if you're thinking outside of the box, outside of what we're taught in school with finances, then you see it. But is it flashing in bright red lights in front of us? Not really. Just
They
like
don't
S
teach
corps are
you,
not flashing.
right, they don't teach you this stuff in school.
Mhm.
They just don't. They teach you the mechanics behind things. They don't teach you how to apply it. So now here's a couple of other areas that would benefit you if you have a corporation. You see, uh, people complain about wealthy people not paying taxes, okay? All Warren Buffett and Bill Gates are doing are following advice like this. They're following the tax code. They're not breaking the law, okay? They're following the law. It's just that they got really good accountants and lawyers that tell them what it is. And a lot of these things are just so you don't have to be, can you go back to that, Elizabeth? You don't have to be Bill Gates and Warren Buffett to take advantage of this stuff. When you're a corporation, you can have all different types of pension plans. You could even have a pension plan for your kids. Imagine that. Okay, you can have a pension plan for your spouse, whoever you have on the books. Fringe benefits. So now I have a client, they said, oh, can I write off my gym? Well, the guy happens to be one of these, like a taekwondo coach or whatever, karate, no, it's karate or something. I said, absolutely. Who's going to want to hire an overweight, karate coach? Okay, it's a business expense. HSA, you can't do that if you don't have a business. Okay, health savings account, that means you actually get a write-off for things like prescription drugs and even over-the-counter drugs. Okay, that's a health saving expense account. De minimis expenses. Can you say de minimis?
Oh, de minimis expenses.
Okay,
Okay, this
that's
is
not
things that are like
okay.
$75 or less, and ooh,
So
I'm serious about that category, Joe, where we can actually make it so we have this thing where it's a de minimis expense, we write it off as a business expense, and then we're going to categorize it as de minimis expenses. Someone takes it to court, I'd really love to fight it, just to demonstrate to them that when you have one of those receipts that are less than $75, well, the IRS has decided that, you know what? We're not going to look at those receipts. We don't want to see those receipts. What are you doing keeping 10 years of
all you got,
receipts that are $20?
yeah, so all you got to do is document it in your accounting system. You say, this is what I spent. Okay, now if it's petty cash, you want a petty cash journal. So I take out like $200, or I forget how much, sometimes $200 at a clip. I'm buying gas with that because it's 10 cents cheaper than paying by credit card. I'm not using my debit card at the post office, at delis. I'm paying cash. They're all business expenses. So all I got to do is keep track of it. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I use, and that's how we document it. Now, I know code section 162 is one of your favorite.
It is one of my favorites, but before we go down that rabbit hole, Shirley raised her hand. Shirley, you got a question? You're trying to interrupt Joe and be nice.
We told you, all you got to do is yell.
No, because this is perfect. There's some things that I love about meeting Joe, and this would be one of them. That in February will be 30 years I've been in business. I've never had an accountant explain in detail anything to me, except for give me this, give me that. Why just screw up this? Oh, we got to do this. We got to fix this. You got to make this payment and you owe this, right? And I need all these other documents. So I don't want us to go over something in case someone listens to the replay or someone is here listening, but too afraid to ask. Explain better de minimis expenses, please.
So de minimis is okay. So how it started is interesting. There was an entertainer, George M. Cohan. He traveled all over the United States, putting on, I forget if he was a comedian, but let's just say he was an entertainer. He got audited. The IRS said you have no proof for any of these expenses. We're disallowing everything. Well, guess what? The IRS doesn't actually make the laws. Okay, they just try to interpret them. So he sued, him and his accountant sued the IRS. And the IRS loses all the time in court. Okay, so the court said, well, it doesn't make sense that he has no expenses related to his business. Didn't he have to like travel across the country? That cost him something. Didn't he have to have meals? Didn't he have to have whatever he, stage props, all of this stuff related to his business? So they said, as long as he could document what he spent his money on, we're going to allow anything under $25 to be a legitimate expense. Well, he had all kinds of documentation. He had a schedule, he had a journal where he went. So there was plenty of documentation. So documentation is another thing. It doesn't always have to be a flat out receipt. You could actually have testimony from, and Elizabeth knows this from being an attorney. You could have people submit affidavits, say, yeah, he was here and he bought $20 worth of stamps every week and he paid us cash. That's proof. Okay, any kind of proof that would stand up in a court of law. So they came up with this, we used to call it the George M. Cohan rule. It's called actually the de minimis rule. You're not going to see this in any kind of IRS publication, so don't even look for it. Only people like me know about this stuff because I went head to head with the IRS hundreds of times. Well, guess what? That was back like in the 30s, because we have this thing called inflation. The IRS said we're going to raise that rule to be $75. So anything, so what we do with our clients, as long as they're following our procedures and they set up a business account or they have a credit card that they're using for business, okay, and they go to Staples and they spend $63, we're telling them, listen, you might as well throw that receipt out because we see who it's to, what date. We're assuming that Staples is for office supplies. There's not much else it could be, but it's got to be business related. We're putting that into your accounting system, and you don't need to keep all these receipts, those parking receipts. Oh, I spend a lot of money on parking. I'm not using my debit card. I'm giving cash and I'm giving the guy a tip with cash. That's what the de minimis rule is. Does that answer your question, Shirley?
Yes, thank you.
Think of all that paper you could save. Okay. It's a lot. And so what'll happen is, and this is how they train the IRS agents, there's different levels of audits. Okay, so you get the first level audit, and this is what they always say. How do we know this is for business? And the comeback is because my client said it was. And there's no way for them to disprove that. They can't say, well, this isn't for business. So I've had clients with a truck in the construction industry and they said, how do we know this was for business? I said, it's a truck. He's not going on vacation with the truck and he has 2 other cars. It's for business. So no matter what they say at that level, you can always appeal it. They don't know they literally might not even know what a de minimis rule is. Okay, I've had this happen. Okay, they would say, where's the receipt? And I said, it's under $75. We don't need a receipt. We documented it right here. I want to see the receipt. I said, okay, if you're going to be like that, disallow it and I'll talk to your supervisor about it without even appealing the audit. So, that's something that we teach our clients. And I want to go to the point that you said, because Susan had an accountant that actually sat down and taught her. She went, he went through every item on the return, and she could tell you this herself. But I believe that every accountant should be teaching their clients, not just taking information. That makes them a commodity. I think our real value is the fact that we do teach our clients. We want them to know what's happening. I've never had a client say, how do you get these numbers on my tax return? That's not a good way to run a business. You should know. And these are some of the questions you should be asking your accountant. Okay, how are you getting these numbers? How come you don't ask me? If your accountant's not asking you anything, there's a problem. There's a big problem. Okay. So Susan, you want to talk about your experience with your accountant? You're muted. So one word of advice, most of our viewers aren't lip readers. So if we ask you to
I didn't realize I was muted.
I
Okay.
know, I know.
I know. Yeah. No, I had this accountant for years. He was an old man. I think he's like 95 now. He's probably not doing taxes anymore. But I used to make an appointment with him, and I would go and spend 3 or 4 hours with him. And he did my taxes with a 1040, and when I had a business with the C. What is it? The other thing?
Yeah, that's a salt.
Yeah, Schedule C. And he would do with pencil and paper, he would do my taxes. And everything on the list, he would ask me, and we would talk about it. And then he would tell me why this was deductible or why it wasn't deductible. And he's actually the one that handled the audit. And we did lose the audit, but he didn't know. I don't think he knew about the S Corp thing, the way that you do, because he never told me to do that. But he was the coolest guy. I used to love to go sit there. I mean, it was actually the best part about my taxes was going to hang out with him once a year.
Do you know that he did tax returns the way I learned them? When I first started that's exactly how I did them. I would sit literally at my client's kitchen table. We would go through all their receipts, and I went through everything with them.
Yep.
Because that's how I learned how to do it. And for some reason, accountants got away from that.
Because the IRS doesn't accept it that way anymore, really. If you send them paper, they're shredding it, okay? They sent out a notice that said, oh, you sent us some paper. I'm sorry.
That's another thing, but the process. The process. I never changed my process, okay?
I mean, he would do the work with a pencil and paper, but then we filed electronically too.
Okay. So the first tax job I had, it was with the tax attorney. We did over 1,000 tax returns, mostly individuals. He would meet with every client and do what your accountant did. He would pencil it in. Okay, he would talk to them, answer any questions, explain how, what was deductible, what wasn't, why, and then he would give it to the reviewers. So I was what they called a tax checker. Okay. We would check his math, check the laws, and that's how I learned how to do accounting. I never changed, but we have generations now of accountants that learn how to do it on a computer. But that doesn't mean that they all just do it. There are still accountants out there that do it the way that I do it. They just learned on the computer, but that communication is key.
Yeah, so within the art of money, it's helpful to have a team. It's helpful to have a team behind you. It's helpful to have other people to converse with and to talk about. With fringe benefits in a company, all right? If you want to give yourself a fringe benefit, like say you are not a weightlifter, okay, but you want to offer your employees or your company a gym. You have a big building and you want to put the bottom floor as a gym and you want to buy that equipment. Well, if you offer it to all of your employees, then it's a fringe benefit. Okay.
Absolutely, even if you use it.
Even if you
As
use
long
it.
as you make it available to them. Okay. So that's a good point. And you can do that with just about any kind of fringe benefit. Okay.
Yes.
As long as, so now we can get into code 162, and that explains what's deductible. There's a publication, I think it's 563. It tells you starting a business and keeping records. And in there, they tell you about what you can deduct, what you can't deduct. I'll make it simple for you. You can't deduct anything that's not business related. Okay. If it's tied to your business, some way, shape, or form, it's deductible. Now, how you structure your accounting system is key. And what we do is we tell our clients, don't mix your personal with business, have a business account, pay all of your business expenses through that account. Okay, if you got to do something like take cash out like I do, give us a journal and say, this is what I spent that cash on. Don't make us guess. Okay, so section one, and I use this in letters. You know, I've used this. Susan said she had that production company. Well, last year we had a production, actually it was two tax seasons ago, we had a production company audited. They disallowed all the deductions. They said, oh no, this is a hobby. So I used code section 162. I said, these were all business related expenses. They had a premiere, they had a whole big party. The party was all tax deduction. We had a list, and I said, if you want to challenge this, we'll go to appeals. And they'll accept it all because this is a bona fide business expense. We also have the woman that paid for her cat vet bills and cat food. Okay, the IRS didn't like that, so she took them to court. And her defense was that she owned a junkyard. Okay, she said, if I don't have the cats, we have rats and snakes in the junkyard. So the tax court said, well, that's business related. I've had clients with guard dogs. And I said, we're writing off their pet food. If the IRS challenged it, we'd tell them, okay, if you don't believe us, go to the building and try to go in there. Okay, you'll get attacked by the guard dog. So section 162 is like a catch-all, you know, defense. It's a business expense if we say it is. Then they got to prove that it isn't.
I have a question, Joe.
Sure.
We've talked about this. I mean, I still am confused about this, but when you have rental properties, and like, let's say that, I mean, I have a separate account for my rental property, but it's not considered business expense. It goes on my personal taxes, but expenses that are related to the rental properties have to be deductible at some point, right?
Okay, so there's a difference between what we call a trade or business and rental properties. Okay, this has to do with the tax code, how it's handled for tax purposes. So an active trade or business is something like what we do. We're actively doing business. It's not passive. Okay. Rental properties are what they call passive activities. So LLCs are good for rental properties because you get that legal protection. Okay, you need the legal protection. But for tax purposes, it still gets reported on your personal return on a Schedule E. Schedule E is for rental properties. So all of your mortgage interest, your gardener, repairs and maintenance, even travel. Let's say you had to travel to Home Depot to buy some, you know, window treatments or something. That's a tax deduction. Okay.
Even the dogs as protection.
If they're protecting the property, absolutely. I don't know if, unless you have a vicious poodle, I don't know if you can write off the poodle.
No, I don't actually have it. I don't actually have a dog, but I was just curious about that.
Okay, so maybe you have a dog walking business. You know, there's all kinds of business deductions. Okay, like I said, my son-in-law he buys and sells movie posters. It was a hobby. Well, now guess what? He has a room, you know, my daughter isn't too happy about it, but he's got a whole room where he keeps all of these posters. Guess what? We're writing that off. As long as it's related to your business, it's a business write-off. So all of my mugs, I have the Bedrock logo in there. I plan on giving them away at some point. Right now, I'm just using them for coffee. But when I ordered them, it has my logo on it. I could put a logo on my shirt here. Bedrock Business Bill. Then this becomes a business write-off. So that it's considered a uniform. Okay. This is the art of money. It's like I have to wear a shirt anyway. Not many people would like me in a webinar with no shirt on. So I'm like, so how could I write this off? I can't write it off without my logo, but there's no reason why I can't sew one on. In fact, I don't have one on here because Elizabeth didn't remind me to put one on.
A logo on your shirt, Joe? I'll get right on that, okay? How to protect your assets and bank accounts. How do we do that, Joe?
Well, again, LLCs are great for this. I don't know much about trust and estates, but people used to put money into trust for whatever reasons. Now you can actually use an LLC. Also, when you have a corporation, any money or assets in that corporation is out of the reach of creditors. Okay, a lot of people don't know this. Okay, as long as you're not trying to hide money. Okay, but I've had people that sold assets and I said, well, put that into your business. Okay, as a shareholder loan, because if you have any creditors, they can't get it from the corporation is a separate legal entity. Okay, so it's another strategy that I've used, especially people that have the propensity to get sued. People in real estate, if you're a real estate investor and you have a lot of properties, those people get sued all the time. All the time. Why? Not that they're doing anything wrong, because there's a lot of lawyers in the United States, and if somebody has something wrong, they're going to sue the landlord.
A lot of potential liability. So
A
this
lot
is
of that
this-
is outside of insurance. Okay, so it's another way for people. In fact, I have a client with 3 entities, 3 LLCs. Why? If all three buildings were in one LLC, and she, got into it, and she has gotten into problems, the other 2 are protected. So these entities, they give you a shell of protection. Your money's no good if somebody's going to tie it up in a lawsuit.
but you have to do these things before you're sued.
Yes.
Okay, like because
That's a good point. Like I said, you can't do it if you're trying to hide money. You can't set up a corporation and then you can't be in the middle of a divorce and set up a Delaware corporation. You can, but that's probably fraud. And besides, they'll find it now.
well, yeah, a lot of what they do is when you're sued, it's possible to freeze your accounts. When you're sued, it's possible to go after your specific business accounts and freeze them and stop them from being able to change money back and forth. So this is where, if from the onset of things, when you're starting your business, or say you've been in business for a while and nothing bad has happened, well, be proactive about things because you can take control of it. You can make it so your money is benefiting you, it's benefiting your business. And can other people touch it? Well, you're going to make it a little difficult for them to try and touch it. They'd have to show that you're specifically trying to hide money. They would have to pierce the corporate veil of protection. And in order to do that, that's where one of the things that they could start doing is try and say, oh, do you do a lot? Do you mix your personal and your business assets together? And when you mix your personal and your business assets together, that's where it's possible to pierce that corporate veil. But if you maintain where I've got my business accounts and I've got my personal accounts. Yeah. In my business account, keep lots of money in there. Okay. In my personal account, well, maybe not so much.
You could park a lot of money in there and you put it in as, the business owes you that money back. There's no law against it, as long as you're not already being sued, you're not going into bankruptcy, you're not getting, you're not in the middle of a divorce. I do have one sad story. When I started, I had a client who was worth about $10 million. And he had most of his assets wrapped up in one corporation. That's a mistake. He owned 3 restaurants in Manhattan. He did have buildings. They didn't even have LLCs by then at that time. One of the buildings, yeah, he had a building in the corporate. It was just all not structured properly. And I kept telling him, I said, you need to talk to an estate attorney about protecting your estate, because estate taxes are a lot of money. Unfortunately, he got cancer, and about 3 months before he passed away, he said, can we still do that estate planning thing? And I was like, you should have done it 3 years ago. It's too late right now. So don't wait. This is something, all of this stuff is, you got to be proactive.
Even when you're hiring your kids, things like that, that's making it so you're doing in-life gifts. In-life gifts by spreading your wealth. And that is also the science of getting rich, isn't it, Joe? The science of getting rich is you don't get rich only to benefit yourself. Really, you get rich to benefit those around you. And when you do that, you also make it so you inevitably make more money, because the more people you serve, of course, and the more that comes back to you. Being proactive, that is the art of money. Planning things, that is the art of money. It
I
is a
could, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
it makes it so you are creating a masterpiece, right? When you go and you have a painting, and even if you're throwing the paint on to the canvas, that's modern art, just throwing paint on a canvas and it looks beautiful. But the idea of it is that you have your easel and you have your paint and you have everything set up right before you, right? Now, maybe every day I'm taking a brush and I'm whipping the paint on it and it's a different color. But I've planned to do that each day. I'm doing a little and by a little, by a little, by a little. And at the end of it, you're going to love it. Okay. As you do it, you start to love it. When you take control of your finances, when you start painting that picture for yourself, it is freeing. There is a spiritual journey behind that to make it so you're not worrying so much. There is a relief that you feel when you know that you have an accountant who's got your back. It is not just what you imagine accounting could be. It is more than that.
Yeah, so I like that analogy, and I also like what Shirley's doing with her investment club. That's powerful. That's a form of a mastermind. It's like you're tapping into other people's knowledge and experience. Most importantly, you can hear what they've done wrong. Like with me with the crypto, don't take investment advice from me. But also the science of getting rich. Shirley's doing that. She started this clubhouse thing. It wasn't even her plan. Okay. She's up there motivating people, right? And then what happened? She got a big speaking engagement. It wasn't like she said, oh, I'm looking for speaking engagements. Somebody just tapped her on the shoulder and said, hey, would you be kind enough to speak? You have a message. And when you do that, the universe sends opportunities to you. So do you want to, okay, I'll give you a chance to pitch your thing now, Shirley, since I cut you off before.
It's okay. I don't really have a pitch. I'm just available to speak, collaborate, share a message, teach people how to tell their story and no longer be a victim, but be a victor. And being a 30-year entrepreneur, I know a little bit about making money and taking your ideas and starting things. And then you make that money and then you hook up with Bedrock. So you make sure you keep that money and make it grow.
Awesome. So now you said you have an event coming up. Did I hear you right?
Yes, in March though. It's March 2023. We'll be in West Palm, Florida. And we have a great event for women. It's going to be live. It's going to be my first live big virtual event in years, but since the pandemic, it'll be my first major live one that I'm putting together. And I used to do one every year for women.
Keep us posted.
Will
And
do.
Thank you. Thank you for attending.
We're looking for sponsors, so I sure will.
Okay. Elizabeth
Oh.
would be interested.
Elizabeth, of course, is interested because do you know what one of my best traits is? One of the things I'm really good at within Bedrock is spending Bedrock's money. Okay, so this
Yeah,
is where-
One
she's
thing
an
you guys
expert.
you were talking about, Joe, when you were talking about crypto, I just want to talk about this for a minute as
Yeah,
it,
sure.
as it pertains to certain things. So as you teach us about how the IRS and the government are changing things, right? That's what happened to crypto. So there were people in crypto making mega money. And then the government said, I smell stuff getting away. And they were like, hey, we've got to make laws for this crypto. So you started, once they created things up to snatch them, right? That information that they've been collecting. And that's why crypto is dropping now, because people were hiding money. So our leader, our instructor and our teacher told us to run. When they say crypto, he said, run, Forrest, run. And so none of us, and there's over 500 of us, never invested in crypto at all.
So that's why my investment went down. It's
Yes.
not because Elon Musk is fighting with Twitter.
No, that's a very small, because his coins don't matter.
Well, it's a good thing it's hundreds, not thousands. So I just, I'm not a gambler. I'm gonna stay at it. It was fun. I was watching it every day. I'm like, I'm better off counting other people's money. But thank you for that. Susan, would you like,
Yes.
do you have any events coming up? I know it's been a long time since you had an event, but I know that you do you help people get what they want. You've been helping our team members get a lot of what they want from me. And I thank you.
I haven't done any events yet. I sort of have been housebound for the past 3 years. My reasons, but part of it was the pandemic. Part of it was the personal crisis that I had to endure. But I actually just recently went to an event, but I don't have any of my own events coming up. I was thinking about doing something. I just don't know what to do yet.
Okay, well, you'll
And I are going to collaborate on something. We had an awesome time getting to know each other. So
We did, and I'm going to get on her Clubhouse at 4:00 in the morning or whatever time it is.
Oh my God. No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
wanna see that. I want to see that. But you did you finish that book? I know you had Janine do a cover for it.
It's being published. Chances are it will be October 12th.
Well, you got to tell us this stuff. So.
It's a secret, Joe.
Oh, okay.
It was a
Now
secret.
it's not a secret. Now
It was a secret to my daughter, who you just gave it away.
Oh, okay.
It was a surprise for my 2 daughters.
Okay, but you also have, I know you have a couple of books out there. You have Getting.
I do. I have How to Get What You Want from Your Man Anytime. I have Dating After 40, No More Excuses. I also have in editing Who's Cheating Who. It's all about infidelity. And then I have a whole series of children's books that I haven't written yet. But, and I really, I'm looking for clients. I look for clients who aren't getting what they want in some area of their life. Ultimately, I started out just being a business coach, and then I went to being a relationship coach for couples, and I quit doing couples because the more couples I did, the more got divorced. So, because I made them tell the truth about why they got together, and it was always for the wrong reasons.
That helped them. That helped them because they were probably in the wrong relationship.
It did help them, but it didn't help me all that much. Made me feel bad. So now I only work with single people who've had serial bad relationships with the same person in different bodies. If you understand that, you know what I'm talking about. And then I help them to become who they need to be to attract who they really want. So it's really personal, a lot of personal transformation. And people come to me because they think they want a relationship, and they find out that actually maybe they want something else. but sometimes they want a relationship too. So, but that's what I do. And I'm willing to talk to anybody anytime. They just have to go to timewithsusan.com and make an appointment with me. And then I'll talk to them for up to 90 minutes for free,
That's
figure out if I can help them or not.
because we have time with Joe. Thank you, Susan. And so, yeah, how do people connect with us, Elizabeth?
Well, of course, they can go to bedrockbusinessbuilders.com. Okay. They can go to timewithjoe.com. They can go with timewithelizabeth.com. They could even go to timewithsydney.com. Okay. This is a theme, Shirley. I don't think you're on it yet, but we need timewithshirley.com. I might just do it for you just so
You
you
should get
can.
the domain and then sell it to her.
Oh, now that's tricky. I don't think I'm going to do that. Shirley's a friend. In fact, Shirley was like one of my first clients. Okay. And that's why she is fantastic in all the things she does. It's ordinary greatness, right? And we're all going to lead with our best selves. And we're just going to take the trash talk out of our dialogue. Okay. And with taking out the trash talk, you want to lead with some of your best testimonials. Right. So not only can you connect with us, but then I talked earlier about how you were going to hear from other clients. You were going to hear from Susan. You're going to hear from Shirley. You're going to hear from Roy. You're going to hear from Michelle. Right now, you don't just have to believe us. Okay. You don't just have to hear what we're saying and be like, whoa, okay, definitely. I think it's real important within all of this that what we're saying, you look into it, buyer beware. Okay. I'm not going to say to you that this is the absolute, but what I'm going to say to you is that we have demonstrated over several years now, and Joe has been doing this for 45 plus years. We're not going to talk about that. I never like to make him that old. that
Yeah, I was 3 when I started this.
is that we are demonstrating that you can advocate for yourself. You can take control of your money. You can take control of your finances. If you get notices that scare you, you can do something for it. And of course, you can connect with us. All right. Whether you're taking the trash talk out of your dialogue, whether you're getting the relationship you want, or you're just taking control of your finances the way that you need to, it is beneficial to be part of the team. Now, I'm going to stop showing your screen, Joe. Okay. And I'm going to start showing mine because I'm going to show our 5-minute little thing of testimonials. We're going to lead with our best around here. Dun-dun-dun-dun. And if we see 2 with Susan or 2 with Shirley, we're just going to be okay about it. All right, everybody?
So tell me about your business. What is your business?
So I am a life coach and a motivational speaker and a keynote speaker. So my spiel is that I help women mostly, but if men were smart, they'd listen, sort through the trash in their lives, aka self-limiting beliefs and blockers. We throw them out, dispel those myths, and then we get down to your secret ingredients.
Yeah, I'm Video Maestro. I've had over 4 decades of developing video and films for major corporations.
Oh,
And now I'm coaching individuals online on how to make their videos and their on-camera presentations professional, so it'll brand them and it'll draw people to them for their business.
I'm a business consultant as well, but I'm in the swimming pool industry, which I know is kind of a weird niche, but I've been in the swimming pool industry for 20 years. And so I'm now on the consulting side. I was a mission development director for a national association in this industry. And then I was the executive director of a California association for 2 years.
what prompted you to hire him? And then what's it like now?
What prompted me to hire him is that because I was not doing official business just yet, I referred him to a lot of people. I was like, listen, you got to try this guy out. I said, he hasn't done any work for me just yet, but you've got to try this guy out because he teaches you, how to help yourself so that this business isn't so complicated and you're lost in space, when it comes to the accounting part of it. The most important, making that money, saving that money, and doing what you need to do and not being bullied by the government. So he saved my brother thousands of dollars when I referred my brother. Then I referred him to a couple other people and like, oh my God, he explains to me, they have a team. So that was great. And then I decided, you know what, I'm about to launch my business official now, and I'm going to start it off right. And I'm going to contact Joe because I like that he teaches. I like that he saved my brother thousands of dollars. And I like that anyone I've referred him to has said what a great job he's doing.
Yeah, I ran across him and he told me, what I was doing was not good and that I better get, because the IRS is, getting stronger and more aggressive. So I needed to have more protection. And I knew that. I just had never really found anybody to help me do that until Joe showed up. And I felt like I trusted him because of his advice that he was giving me.
Well, the interesting thing is that, I met Joe through another one of my coaches, Craig Duswalt. And at the time I just started my business. And when I just started my business, and I think this is good for anybody who starts their business, I wanted to make sure that I started my business and did things right up front. So I started utilizing Joe's services immediately because I met him through another, I was already in touch with him and knew him through another coach. And so I wanted to make sure I was doing things right. So I hired him pretty much right on, right up front to help me to make sure that I was going to be doing, my record keeping and everything the way that I should be doing it. And he's been awesome in that. I've been with him the whole time I've been in my business.
But I feel like this business I'm going into, first, it's my passion. So it's not a job, right? That's the first thing. So that makes it better. And I can explain to other people, my partners in this business, my accountant, my attorneys, I can explain to them what I need, want, and desire so that they can make for sure that I keep staying within my guidelines and the parameters of my boundaries so that I can do my best job. So I feel armed and ready for sure.
And he did. The first return, I got more money back and I got a better return that would be less likely to be audited.
Right.
And, that's important to me. So, he's done a great job for me.
So I've been working with him now for 3 years and he does everything for me. I don't have to worry about my accounting side, my taxes, any of that stuff. Joe does all that for me, takes care of it. And I trust him. I know he's doing the right thing. And if I ever have a question, he's always available to answer anything that I am, have questions about or confused about. Very, very easy. So I don't know what business is like before Joe, because I've had,
I didn't have one.
Yeah. I have referred him to many people. When I work with folks myself, I always refer people to Joe to have them help out. And, some of them, are just not ready or whatever, but I'm a big, big believer in doing things right.
Yeah.
Separating your business from your personal expenses and making sure you're paying your taxes and, your financial side of your business is very important. So I'm a big believer in hiring someone to do it. And I, believe in Joe. So.
Wow, that was awesome. First
Yeah,
time I saw
now I
that.
want my check. I didn't know it was going to be that good.
It's
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
file.
I need to check too for being such an incredible interviewer.
Yeah, you're
Well,
all
okay,
part of
everybody,
the panel.
this is the secret. Okay. It's a secret sauce. Joe just did a whole book. It's called The Secret Sauce to Bookkeeping and Tax Preparation, right? Now, your check comes via your affiliate fees. Everyone on this call is an affiliate of Bedrock, okay? And as an affiliate of Bedrock, if you refer someone to Bedrock, well, guess what? Don't you know you get a check? You get 15% of the first year of business that the person does within Bedrock Business Builders. Of course, we've got terms of service. We've got a thing that you're gonna sign, that you would sign, but there are benefits for working with Bedrock, and you don't have to pay anything to be an affiliate. Now, will it always be that way? I don't know. Joe told me we might have to start having people pay. All right, but this is where
I told you that.
you did. You whispered it in my ear and I was thinking about it. But this is where I like when you don't have to pay to be an affiliate of something, right? This can actually make it so if you don't have an offer in your business, you don't have something where you're going to immediately start making money from your business, but you're ready to start your business, you're investing to make money in your business, right? That start date is there. Well, you can offer Bedrock services. You can make money off of that as an affiliate. It's an amazing thing.
The truth is, so many people have referred clients to us, like Shirley, without even asking to get paid. But I think it's only fair that, you know, because Shirley didn't do it for the money. She did it because she knew people that needed help and we were able to help them. But I do want to call out one of my favorite clients, Regina. I do see you there. So I do appreciate, I know that you're very, very busy. Regina's in the kitchen and bath business. She's local, so that she's one of the only clients I actually get to visit. So
It's
she's,
very informative, I have to say. The wheels are spinning right now.
well, you already hired your child, so you can, you should have done it decades ago, but yeah.
I'm so excited you applied that, Regina. Woohoo! Congratulations. Take that leap with
Yeah,
that.
thank you for joining us, Regina. I appreciate that.
It was very interesting, I have to say.
Awesome. I'm glad you like it.
All right, Joe. Well, it is 2:53. Okay. I've had a lot of fun during this workshop, but we can't keep going on forever and ever. Hopefully, we have another workshop. In fact, I know for certain that every third Tuesday of the month, we do wind up having a workshop. We might take Shirley's suggestion that we have it at a different time, but for right now, it is between 1 and 3 on the third Tuesday. The other thing that we do, you can always check in at mastermindwithjoedechera.com and mastermind with us on Fridays at 11:30 to 1. Sometimes that time changes, but we are always having the mastermind. Joe tried to dial back on it, but I'm going to say consistency is key in business, okay? If you can have one thing just going continuously within your business is operating. Okay. And if your business is operating, well, don't you know, then you can take business expenses. If you can take business expenses, you can employ these tax strategies. And if you can employ these tax strategies, you will secure your assets. Okay. And your money, you will make it so you take control and you will have a beautiful painting just like we painted before. But that's our story. We're sticking to it. We need to close this meeting down. Joe, do you have any final words of wisdom?
I'm all words of wisdom out. I just want to say thank you to everybody that attended live. I'm sure plenty of people will be watching the recording, and just join the family, take control of your finances. The worst thing that I see happening is that people don't capitalize on all of the deductions that they're entitled to.
Yeah.
That keeps me up at night.
The IRS
More
can
people
actually owe you money.
Oh yeah, that's happened. That we'll talk about that in the next workshop.
Because we're not done talking about taxes, not ever, okay? And I hope to see you again, my friends. Shirley, thank you for being here. Susan, thank you for doing the interviews. And Sydney, it's always a
Checks in the
pleasure. Thank
mail.
you for being here. Woot woot.
The checks in the mail, Susan and Shirley.
Have a great one, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
This is recorded, so I love it. We have proof now.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.